This book has truly had the most extraordinary success in Europe. It has sold over 4 million copies in Scandinavia, which is an extraordinary amount for a small country like that. And at one stage, it was #1, #2, and #3, the trilogy in the Scandinavian bestseller lists. And this has happened in France, in Germany, in Italy, and we're really the last in a long queue of people to publish this. And I suppose we are the beneficiaries for a certain degree of anticipation and excitement that's built up and has kind of cascaded across Europe. I don't really know an awful lot about Stieg Larsson. I do know that he was an enormously gifted and crusading journalist who founded a magazine called Expo in Sweden, and a magazine that was devoted essentially to sort of combating and exposing racial and religious intolerance, and apparently took to writing crime fiction in his spare time, which was largely at night, I think probably to distract himself from some of the things that he had to deal with during the daytime. And the tragedy was that he died just after the first book was published, very suddenly at the age of 50 of a very severe heart attack. So he didn't live to see these 3 novels of his become the most extraordinary bestsellers in Scandinavia and across Europe, as a matter of fact. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Lisbeth Salander, is actually, I think, one of the more extraordinary sort of modern heroines. I believe Larsson said in an interview that he'd often wondered what Pippi Longstocking was going to be when she grew up, and I think that is what Lisbeth is in this novel. Reviewers will probably want to compare Stieg Larsson to his Swedish contemporaries, people like Henning Mankell and others, but I think he is totally different. I think he paints on a bigger canvas. I think parts of the social commentary, the social analysis, the social consciousness that he has reminds me of John Grisham. In other ways, he reminds me of some of the preoccupations that Sarah Paretsky or Michael Connelly or George Pelecanos, for instance, might have. But you know, the interesting thing about Larsson, and something we haven't touched on yet, is that he was also a book reviewer, and his passion was crime writing. So this trilogy is peppered with references to his peers in the crime writing community, and he read crime novels voraciously. And the book has got references that, or texts that take you back to, say, Agatha Christie or Dorothy Sayers, and he mentions a novel that has just been published or a scene from a particular book by a contemporary American or a contemporary Brit writer, and so you know, he's like a magpie that way, and that's part of, to me, the pleasure of reading him, and I think other readers will share the sort of the references.